of Pantheon is like he is quite early game focused, and you want to try and play around him and utilize him and enable him. And by first picking it in the draft, it obviously gives Fnatic a lot of room to play around it. We saw how Rogue handled it last game. We'll see what Fnatic do this time around.
First, a pick a Senna here for Reckless, who has just been performing fantastically along with the rest of the squad. Despite a small blunder in week 1, the rest of the team has really just woken up and found their groove. And Selfmade's going to go with the Elise, so we're going to have some impact, and you assume this is going to be jungle here.
Yes.
Combined with the Pantheon, that is a great combination.
You know, this might actually be a Blitzcrank. All right, that's sad. So I've been seeing a lot of Blitzcranks into Senna in solo queue because obviously she's pretty low in mobility, and when she casts things like her ult, she obviously stands still, but Blitzcrank can be a pretty effective pick into her, but for now, we're not going to be able to see it. Instead, we're going to be seeing, once again, a very strong mid-jungle coming out with the Pantheon. The Taliyah, very similar in terms of what the Elise can do, but Taliyah has better scaling options into the late game because she's going to be building a lot more AP. Right now for Fnatic, by going for a very aggressive jungler in the Elise. Wow, okay, so Fnatic, like, they're going for one of those weird drafts where you have like a hyper early game jungler. Remember, Jarvan and Lee were both up and available, but instead they prioritized the Elise, very focused on ganking in the early game, trying to get lanes ahead, and then they have an Ornn top lane, and they have a Senna bot lane. So they kind of have two scaling picks that don't really fit with the Elise, which to me suggests that Fnatic really just wanted to deny the Elise Pantheon, and perhaps weren't expecting the Taliyah to come out.
And what if overall the goal is to go for a little bit more of a scaling teamfight option? And we'll find out in the next 2 picks, right? Yeah. And maybe Elise just shores up that weakness a little in the early game.
It could also be that Fnatic have a strong mid laner in mind. They could have some kind of early game focused pick that they want to try and pair up with the Elise so they can try and match in the 2 versus 2. We'll have to wait and see. For now, supports are going to be the priority. They're taken off the board. I wouldn't be surprised if Fnatic actually look to first pick the Braum, forcing SK to be the ones to ban.
Now, how nervous do you get if you're a Fnatic bot laner, let's say, and you look at Taliyah, Pantheon, got some globals in there already, the ability to jump in and join whatever fight is going to happen wherever Selfmade decides to play. It is something to consider, the amount of globals there and the ability to just, you know, pick those fights when you want to.
Yeah, for sure. SK deciding to ban away the Aatrox, so Fnatic not going to have that blind pick available to them. I think that we're likely going to see the Braum locked in right now for Fnatic. SK could then answer with a Rakan if they wanted to, maybe something like a Nautilus as well. But I think that we've seen Senna paired up with Braum often, and I think that it would make the most sense, especially considering that they are playing Ornn.
Well, looks like it's going to be a hover for a long time here before the Nautilus is locked in, so you correctly predicted the options, but a lot more options to look forward and go in.
So the reason why I think Fnatic went for Nautilus over the Braum was, number one, Nautilus is just a very strong support, and with Leona banned away, like European supports consider it the next best, but also you can force the enemy into the Braum, which, yes, while it is good into Ornn, you now kind of lack a pretty reliable engage.
Yeah.
Because now your engage options are, sure, you've got a Gangplank ultimate there, yeah, that's a pretty good tool, and you've also got a Pantheon ultimate, but that actual setup and that engage is not the strongest. It's not easy.
Okay,
Wait,
Ornn mid.
Ornn
into Pantheon. Build all the armor. And there is the flex that we were not anticipating.
Okay, I wasn't anticipating that at all.
So zoom out. Bwipo, top, Rengar. Do you like it or not?
I mean, well, no, but I mean, like, I trust Bwipo understands top lane matchups significantly better than I do. And if he's picking it into Gangplank and they're making this swap happen, clearly Bwipo is confident in this 1 versus 1. Like, we know that Rengar has high early game damage, we know that Rengar can roam around the map a lot, and we've seen mixed performances from Rengar, or Bwipo's Rengar rather, so far from last year. So, you know, we just kind of have to put trust in Bwipo here. The one thing we can say is it's not a strong mid jungle, but it is a strong top jungle, which means that Selfmade, I expect him to look to play around the top side of the map this game, and given that they have Senna and Nautilus in the bot lane, I think that Fnatic should be fine. I mean, I'm excited to see how this one plays out.
I'm very interested to see if Fnatic can keep up the tempo of their 2 previous wins. And that very last pick, Rengar, catching everybody off guard. Fnatic are looking good. They will be taking on SK Gaming, and Selfmade on the Elise taking on his former team. And welcome back to a second last game of the week here. Little quick tidbit for you. Not only was the Rengar and the Ornn shenanigans there to catch us off guard, but Hilly is playing his first LEC Nautilus game.
What?
Yeah, that's right.
No.
Stats team just pinged me, and they've let me know.
Wait, how many years has Illusion been playing now?
Many years.
And you're telling me he hasn't played Nautilus once?
Apparently so. Apparently so. That's what the stats team
a troll.
are feeding me. And we'll get to take a look at what his performance will have this game. But I think I'm much more excited in the top half of this game. GP Taliyah Pantheon into Rengar, Elise, Ornn.
All right, so I kind of want to bring our attention back to the mid lane. We talked a lot about the mid lane last game. And we will be following the junglers a little bit in this game as well. But to start us off, Pantheon loves to get in your face, and he has a huge amount of damage. You can see the passive bar underneath his HP. When that's stacked up, his Q, like, it hurts. It really hurts. But the thing about Ornn is you can just keep stacking armor and you can mitigate so much of that damage, but also because there is a small animation with the jump from Genax, pro players can actually react with the W from Ornn to mitigate the stun, because that's an unstoppable usage, which means that he can't set up for those same plays. So while Ornn is immobile, and in theory the combo should be pretty easy to land when you have a Taliyah and a Pantheon, I don't think it's going to be that easy when Nemesis, assuming he's able to react in time, which based on Nemesis and recent performance, I believe that he can. On top of the fact that he will have Flash available to him, like, I think this lane suddenly becomes way harder to just camp and play through.
So exciting to see a creative pivot here from Fnatic in their 4th game on stage. And also interesting, if anybody watched PGL last night, Bwipo was so animated and so exciting. And he was talking a little bit about the team dynamic and how it's sort of shifted from last year to this year. Talking about how multiple people can play, you know, little carries a little bit more freely or more comfortably. And he talked specifically about Selfmade combining with Nemesis. Now I want to see what Selfmade can do with Bwipo in terms of this duo. And it's what you mentioned in the draft, Vedius. As it stands, Selfmade's clearing his jungle, started bottom, moving top.
So we're seeing both junglers kind of match. Trick is going to do a red into blue into Gromp, whereas Selfmade has done a blue into Gromp into red. So they've both taken, you know, very similar paths. What's surprising is that Selfmade is immediately pathing towards the bot side of the map. Taliyah's clear is pretty fast, and she also does pretty well against large camps too. Which means that there is the risk that she's done a full bot side clear and could look for a potential bot gank. So Selfmade is in a position where he can cover, and now he spotted Trick. Yeah,
look at the mid lane and the bottom lane, though, both of them very extended. Selfmade gets the first ticks of damage onto Trick, and as Nemesis, Reckless, and Hilly are shoved all the way forward, if anything happens, if any altercation breaks out, they will be able to be the first people to move.
But look at this. Let's look at the minimap real quickly. Top lane, pressure. Mid lane, pressure. Bot lane, pressure. This is like a jungler's dream. Selfmade can do literally whatever he wants, and he has the freedom to just invade on the enemy jungle, knowing that he's guaranteed to have that same level of safety, because his laners should always be able to move first.
Yeah, absolutely the case. Sort of what you, again, were alluding to during the course of the draft. Selfmade now hopping over the wall.
Well, he wants to, but there's no Krugs there.
There we go, thank you. I literally turned my attention straight to Trick and didn't see.
He's going to get spotted,
so that's an engage from Hilly, and he's going to get caught up by the shove, and he's still going to be able to escape. I think the dredge line tagged the wall before the unraveled earth. That's what it looked like to me, because he did that Spider-Man pull from way
I was so
range.
confused, but yeah, good spot there, quick shot. I thought that, like, wait, is there a Tristana ult in the game somewhere? But no, you're right, he was able to land that hook onto the wall, so he didn't get knocked into the team of SK. That could have been very dire for Fnatic, but they were able to get away with their lives.
If this were a legacy game, if we were shoutcasting like 5 years ago, we would then discuss dredge line mechanics.
Would we?
Yeah, for sure. Just like when the new GP came out, it would be barrel mechanics. And that was like a legitimate thing that we used to talk about. So on Killy's first ever game, he's got it. I'm sorry, hold on. I actually did not see that because I was looking at Vedius. I literally did not. I was talking to Vedius.
Let's talk knife mechanics, shall we? Let's talk knife mechanics.
What did he do?
When one knife goes into the back, right, the other one swiftly follows, and it turns out that a pirate can't handle it. So, Bwipo, he just murdered Sakura live on air, right? Like, it's... I hear the sirens in the background, quick shot. He wasn't expecting that. But here we are, the mid lane game.
All right, Nemesis does get caught out, doesn't flash quickly enough, and Trick is able to respond for SK. Very good setup there, combining with Genax's stun. I think Nemesis's Bellows Breath, I believe it was on cooldown. He wasn't able to escape. Okay, look. So, well, I missed this.
Here we are. So, again, knife mechanics, right? So he knifes the barrel first, and he has the full stack of his passive, right? There's one knife, there's the bowler.
Oh my
Second knife,
word.
Third knife, right? Like, it's a 3-knife attack. What can you do, right? Anyway, back to the mid lane. You can see that Nemesis, I'm not sure if his Bellows Breath was on cooldown or not, but he wasn't able to use it in time regardless, which meant that the stun comes through, the knockback comes through, and this was the combo that we were talking about between the Taliyah and the Pantheon. Devastating if that initial stun comes through, because there's very little that you can do to get out of that situation.
All
so
right.
1-for-1 trade overall, SK with a slight gold lead for now.
Yeah, let's take a look at the items really quick. Bwipo, double Dorans in the top lane, triple Dorans, a crown shot down in the bottom lane, and Nemesis has access to call the Forge Guard. Level 5 for Trick, level 4 for Selfmade. I'm just trying to track where they're going to be heading next. But I'm glad to see SK with a successful kill in the mid lane. Nemesis on that Ornn was theoretically going to become a real problem for Pantheon, and you see how easily he was controlling the wave. So I want to see just how often or what Nemesis can do as the minutes play out.
So one thing we haven't talked about yet is Gangplank's impact in games. And the thing that makes his ultimate very obnoxious for a lot of AD carries, as we see Sakura very afraid.
Cue the Jaws music. I just want to know, Chris, if Bwipo kills Sakura a few more times like that, we need to see an edit with the Jaws shock. Dun 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 dun. Not this time, Bwipo.
Yeah, I mean, they're full health, quick shot. I don't think he's going to kill him just yet.
He did it 80% health a second ago.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, but that 100%, 80%. Significant difference.
Okay,
But anyway, I got to get this Gangplank point in, because I'm probably not going to get a chance later this game. Gangplank ulti makes AD carries' lives very difficult because he creates this huge zone, which means the AD carries, if they're in the wrong position, either get chunked out or they get zoned from the fight. Senna is a pretty unique case because her range scales throughout the game. When you get into these late game team fights, she can actually stand on the other side of the Gangplank ultimate and still hit the opposition.
Oh, really nicely done from Hilly. Now he just used the Hex Smash over the wall, but to his death, Trick was waiting in the wings. And Crown Shot is able to pick up the kill.
Now, Sakura chose not to use his Gangplank ultimate there, which means that they will have... Well, he's actually going to use it for top lane because he has to. But great gank that we're seeing once again from Trick. He makes a successful play in the mid lane. He makes another play happen in the bot lane. And he punishes the fact that Hylissang did not have his flash available. So great stuff that we're seeing from Trick in the early game.
Yeah, absolutely. And now with the Gangplank ult down and the fact that Trick showed in the bottom lane, Selfmade and Fnatic are going to move in to secure themselves the Dragon, and this is sort of the story of the game coming into it. Looking at the at 15 stats, kills plus assists at 15, Selfmade was second best of the junglers to 7th for Trick, but he started off really well. The combination CC with the shove from Taliyah is just working out exceptionally well, and it's giving them some tools to play with as we move forward in the game.
Yeah. I'm kind of thinking about like scaling, right?
Right.
It's a bit of a weird one because Ornn is mid lane. Bit of trading back and forth. Nemesis just does not care. But when I think about Senna in the late game, really strong AD carry, right? Rengar, I think his ability to one-shot champions in the late game does like definitely become relevant. And you kind of look at Crown Shot and like, I don't think Braum is necessarily going to be enough to stop it. He does have exhaust, so that could be an influence factor, but it's a weird one for me, Quick Shot. I can't say with conviction that I think Fnatic for sure have the strongest scaling
dun,
comp.
dun. Flash away from Crown Shot. But that already gives you an indication. Does this help your conviction
I mean,
at all?
like, so this is the thing, though. Like, I kind of think on paper that Fnatic should have a better scaling comp, but you kind of look at SK with the Gangplank, and they have Talia as well, both very relevant in the late game. I'm really interested to see how this game progresses, because right now SK kind of seem to be the driving force in making a lot more of the plays happen. They're moving around the map. And I wonder at what point Fnatic will start to look to be more aggressive.
But then I've got a follow-up question, because now you're just talking sort of champions on paper. What about ease of execution? You know, how does it work when both of these teams scale? Because they're going to be quite interesting to play out. I obviously see the Ornn Nautilus engages, but at least Rengar are going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, so this is the thing, right? Rengar in teamfights kind of wants to flank and dive onto the backline, and he wants to just one-shot the enemy AD carry. What's interesting is when we look at the itemization coming out from Whippo, it doesn't suggest that he's necessarily going for like the full lethality one-shot build that you often see from your solo queue Rengars. He's picked himself up a little bit of lifesteal. He also has himself the Kindle gem, so he has that early cooldown reduction in health. And what I think Whippo as a player loves to do when he's playing on this Rengar is he loves to look for roams with his ultimate and have it available as often as possible. And we'll see how often he makes these plays happen as we see another play happen in the mid lane.
We do indeed. Tower First Blood was picked up by SK Gaming. Hylissang, I think, predicting the flash didn't work out. Now Trick manages to arrive, throws down the threaded volley, as well as Unraveled Earth. They're not going to be able to find the CC. The Rift Herald continued to siege with the help of Crown Shot and Limit, and they attack at the inner turret as well. And Fnatic finally take down the top turret. So big advantage to SK. 1,600 gold in the lead as we've gone past the 10-minute mark, and I'm liking their decision-making in the early game. It's working out.
Yeah, I think SK are being proactive right now. Their carries are scaling well. You can actually see Crown Shot has an 1,100 gold advantage, largely because he did get that kill onto Hylissang, but also all of this plate gold and all this tower gold has been funneled into him. I think that means that Mist Fortune is going to hit a much stronger spike in the mid game because Rekkles is still going to be stacking up his Mana Mune, and he hasn't completed his lethality item yet. So I honestly feel that in the mid game, Fnatic kind of have a damage trough, and they kind of have to wait. Their best bet is to like look for picks on a side lane, which they have to be careful of because again, double globals.
Yeah.
So Gangplank ultimate and the Pantheon ultimate will make it harder if, I don't know, Whippo tries to kill Crown Shot in a side lane.
And also just seeing Rekkles there, using the mist to disguise the engage, just starting to put some more pieces together. Rengar, Elise, Nautilus, Ornn hiding in the mist, coming to move towards you. If SK are out of position, that is going to be so easy for them to set up. That is a pretty cool. Missing the hook. See, hook mechanics. It's going to come back. We're going to keep talking about it.
But that's a really good point, Quickshot, because the miss, the E, obviously you don't know who is what.
Yes.
So when you think that, like, I don't know, an Ornn or a Nautilus is running at you, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's Rengar! Could definitely be obnoxious and difficult to play around.
Well, we'll see how SK respond, because so far they've been in control. Cannon Barrage comes down from Sacre. He finds himself around 20 CS down, Whippo as it stands, but holding on defensively in that bottom lane.
Yeah, so we're actually going for the Black Cleaver build. Definitely gives you a lot more cooldown reduction, definitely going to be valuable damage as well. I imagine it's not that hard to stack up the Black Cleaver stacks, give you a little bit more durability as well, but doesn't quite give you the same burst that like a full lethality build will do. I'm really interested to see like how this pans out later on to the game, because the more that I think about it, the more I feel like Fnatic don't actually have like a huge amount of options to do anything right now, which obviously gives SK a lot of freedom to farm up, like look for plays, be proactive.
And make another sort of approach onto Nemesis. Trick was waiting. Not going to engage just yet. Call the Forge Guard comes out and instantly eaten by Limit's Braum.
I mean, we talked about the Braum in draft. Oh, flash up.
Flash, that's worth, absolutely worth. Hylissang got the Hex. Whippo goes flying way forward. No real damage just yet to follow up, but that was a big engage. Grand Starfall comes down, and now Genax is looking for the play. Hylissang uses the trench line. The railgun manages to pick up the kill with the health of Hilly. Now they're not done. It's a double for Hylissang's Nautilus. And now Crown Shot is in trouble. Flash is available to him, gets bopped on the head. Bowler down. The Selfmade takes out his former teammates.
And SK overextend, thinking that they were in a position to siege onto the tower, but the re-engage comes in from Hylissang and Nemesis. Nemesis beautifully set up to allow Fnatic to get the collapse, and it results in a one-team fight for Fnatic.
I'm going to allow them to pick up the second Drake as well. Just when I started getting some hope here for SK, Fnatic managed to find a team fight, really. That was initiated by SK. They put themselves in that position.
Yeah, so we'll see on the replay now. Good Brawn block, because Crownshot did not have flash, which means that he would have died if that ultimate came through from Nemesis. Then, of course, the flash for flash initiation. Then Bwipo decides to go in. He's like, hey, let's see how much damage I can do, draw some aggro. He can, of course, just remove that CC if he wants to with his W. This is when SK think, okay, we're actually in a prime position. But notice the thinning of their wave, and then this hook comes out from Hylissang. Great hook onto Trick, who doesn't have the flash. Nemesis is able to land the Q and knock it onto 2 members. And then Crownshot, while it was a good ultimate, he now realizes that he's isolated from his team, and he does not have his flash.
So as we hit 15 minutes, the game is now bang on even, and there's 2 Drakes to Fnatic. Map is opened up as well, so a couple more corridors to play through. So Bwipo and Selfmade going to be a little bit happier. The second Rift Herald is up, and Thrill of the Hunt is thrown down. Bwipo's just the threat of Thrill of the Hunt is enough to force SK back. It's not going to stop the Herald just yet, and Fnatic, maybe they're talking about it, maybe they're thinking about it. The target's going to be Gen Axe. Gets caught out, gets jumped on. Bwipo doesn't go for more, but I think without Ornn being there by Nemesis, maybe they don't want to go more for the fight.
I think they just didn't want to engage onto Gen Axe because his E could have just soaked up all that damage, and then you're overcommitting onto a target that you physically can't kill, and then that could give SK the opportunity to re-engage. So I think it was wise of Fnatic to not overforce that. The goal is still even, and the Rift Herald, I imagine that SK will look to try and use it to break open that mid tower so they can gain a little bit more control over the map.
Let's talk a little bit about what this means for the next few minutes.
Oh, they're going to use the top. Right, that's fine, solid.
Because Fnatic, as I mentioned, they've sort of speed run the last 2 games that they have played. Win time 20:59, first Baron 23:49, just to set some expectations on how dominant their last 2 victories have been. This early game did not go quite as swimmingly as maybe they would hope. But they're in a good position. They've got a good team comp to accelerate if they can, again, find those team fights.
I mean, I think that their snowballing power is much weaker with the comp that they've drafted for themselves.
Okay.
But I think it does go to show like how strong Fnatic has been so far this split. We're going to see another engage come out from SK.
All right, Grand Starfall onto Nemesis. He's taking some damage, but simply not enough. Not a huge amount there committed from SK. But Bwipo throws down the ultimate. He's able to respond in time. Sakre held onto his teleport and his cannon barrage. So a hopeful attempt, but didn't really commit too much more.
But it's good to see SK trying to be as proactive as possible. They know that their comp is stronger at this point in the game. They know they can force fights.
All right, Call of the Forge God is available for Nemesis. They don't want to go under the tower because there's no minions to work with. Selfmade's going to step forward and put some wards down. And it's still 2 minutes till the next Drake, so just trying to put some vision down. The observers are highlighting all of the Fnatic wards around this exposed red buff, and it's just a masterclass in some control here. Fnatic, they push out, deal with the threat, and go straight back to the side lanes.
So when we're in these kind of neutral states, I like to think about next steps for both teams, right? And like, what are their potential options? One of the big things that I'm looking at is itemization, because that's a big indicator of when teams can and can't do something. And we'll see the Trinity Force has now been completed for Sakre. One of the problems that Sakre has is that he is 2 levels behind Bwipo, and with not having level 11, he doesn't have his ulti available. Oh, sorry, he does have it upgraded, exactly. Which means that SK is probably going to want to wait for that point, and Crownshot is sitting on his pickaxe, which means he probably wants to wait for Infinity Edge as well. So I think SK is waiting for a few more items before they try and force any more fights. Meanwhile, for Fnatic, I think that they're just kind of scaling a lot more. You can see that it looks like Bwipo is working towards, I think, the Bloodthirster right now, unless he's going to use that lifesteal item for a different component. We'll have to wait and see. To me, it looks like a Bloodthirster right now, getting that extra shield, that extra bit of burst damage. But it feels like right now, Dragon will be the next point of contention.
Are Fnatic in the power trough? You mentioned that maybe in the mid-game.
It feels like they are to me, largely because of Senna, given that she doesn't have any completed item yet, really.
Right. Still scaling up towards the Mirror Mana.
Yeah, whereas like Miss Fortune feels much stronger right now to me.
Yeah.
But like the thing that throws me a curveball is like, I can't really evaluate like how much damage this Rengar brings to a team fight.
We're going to get a chance, I think, because it looks like Bwipo is making his way around for a potential flank, hasn't done. The
Oh, he gets clear.
That's a massive engage from Fnatic. The Brawl will stop the Orn Horn. Limit forced to flash away, but it's Bwupo that goes down. He's caught in between 5. Fnatic couldn't make the damage stick, and it simply was not enough. The power trough that Vedius was talking about may have just been demonstrated on screen.
So this is one of the concerns they had for Rengar, is if you're relying on him to be a mid-game damage, and SK just shut him down, then what do you do? As Reckless
is in trouble. He will flash over the wall. Selfmade's running for his life inside the enemy jungle. Now the tower is going to be defended for now, and SK Gaming will use the control from mid to peel down to Dragon.
So well-played team fight from SK overall. It did cost them a lot of flashes and a lot of summoner spells, so it's not going to go as cleanly for them the next time around, but we see Bwupo TPing back in.
All right, it is. It's so much damage on the Jinax. He's starting to go low. Bwupo steps forward. He's not going to be able to find a kill just yet. Knocked backwards. Finally takes one down. Jinax is sent packing. The cocoon from Selfmade is not going to be able enough damage to follow on to Trick, but here comes Nemesis. The bellows breath over the wall, and the knife cat sinks in another. Fnatic with the secondary fight take it all.
And Fnatic crush SK once again. It felt like that fight was lost, but SK took too long and Fnatic turn it around. They secure a tower, they're gonna secure a Drake. Fnatic walk away the victors.
Is this what you were talking about on PGL when you said the crispness, the decisiveness of Fnatic? They lose one, but the moment Bwupo's back, the re-engage and literally everything landing.
Yeah, and I mean, we were just talking about summoner spells, right? If you think about how much SK had to invest in order to just stop Bwupo from doing anything, we can appreciate more now that with all of those tools unavailable, how hard it was to stop him. So let's have a look at this fight. Fantastic hook from Hylissang, being able to lock down Trick, and Bwupo thinks he sees an easy target. So he goes on to Trick, immediately gets exhausted by Limit. Extremely well played there by him, and then the stopwatch from Trick. So SK were ready, they knew. But then this is where we see the re-engage. They took so long to get to this Drake. Look at the positioning of Crown Shot. Limit has barely any mana left. Trick doesn't have the stopwatch available, and Jinax is just kind of left isolated as the rest of his team look to disengage, and then we get to see a great flash coup. But here, this is the creme de la creme from Nemesis. He flashes in, gets the knock, but we don't have time because Bwupo's solo killing Sakura.
He is for now. There is support coming down from Trick, but look at the damage. What? The Ornhorn does it, seals the deal. Now that's a golden Trick once again. Nemesis
he doesn't need to run.
They fancy themselves another fight. Knock back from Nemesis. SK don't want this. Glacial Fissure comes down. Bwupo finally taken out. Hilly has arrived just a little late to the party, but that looked like a 2v4 that honestly felt like it could have gone for Fnatic's way.
I was sitting there looking at Nemesis, and he was like, I'm a blacksmith, baby. I don't need to back off from this fight. And then he's like, nope, wait, there are 4 of you. Actually, Knifecat, you're on your own. And then he was out of there. Well played, though, from Fnatic. I think they ended up trading 1-for-1 overall. They get the flash out from Sakura, but while that action was happening, Selfmade was setting up this vision. He's gaining control over the river. Hylissang
He's in trouble, and look at those hook mechanics, managing to get himself to safety. Support from Reckless as well, and Selfmade still sitting deep. I mean, a couple of wards to play with, and yeah, now Baron's going to be the next target.
Yes, but we got to bring it back to the Rengar build.
Okay, right.
Because he's gone Essence Reaver.
Right.
So he's going full CDR. He's like, I want my ultimate available as often as possible. Currently, his ultimate has a cooldown off.
You'll get there.
It physically will not let me click on the Rengar because he's dead.
Use the keyboard. It's Q. Press Q.
Nope, he's dead.
Okay.
Anyway, let's have a look at this replay. So, 2-level advantage for Bwupo. We get to see him all in on Sakura, and you can see how he just, like, there's very little that the Gangplank can do in this 1-versus-1. He's slowly just getting chunked out. The ultimate comes in from Senna, and Trick thinks that he's saving his top laner here. He doesn't realize the Nemesis is going. And at this point, I'm like, Nemesis can for sure 1v3 this fight. But it's when he realizes, oh wait, no, Braum is also here, we gotta back out, that he's like, yeah, okay, sorry dude, I can't afford to fight this. I got stuff to smith.
He does indeed, and talking about Bwupo, who was running away there. At level 13, so his ultimate rank 2, it's a 54-second cooldown for Thrill of the Hunt, waiting for it to get to max rank.
Less than a minute.
That's what 54 seconds mean. You have a head for numbers, my boy.
You're welcome.
But what does it mean, Vidius?
It means that he could use his ultimate as often as he wants. Like, he could use it right now, and it'll be back up in time for the next fight. Like, he's eyeing Pantheon. Like, I love the Zhonya's Rush from Trick. While it does reduce your damage, it also helps you mitigate some of the pick potential. Oh, it's the combo. Oh, wait, never mind. Bwupo's not in there. We got baited ourselves.
He could have been. The threat, the the implied nature that he could be there.
Oh, his ult is up.
But also remember, we saw actually the threat of Whippo's ulti just pushing people away from Rift Herald.
Yes.
Many minutes ago. And now the whole game state has shifted. It felt like SK were dictating the pace and we're in control and we're pushing Fnatic around.
Yeah. Because now we see
Fnatic.
Reckless does damage now.
Oh yeah.
Like he's strong. So that trough that we were talking about is definitely not an issue, and I think the Fnatic can feel way more confident in these fights. Here it comes.
Oh, another fantastic dredge line. Trick uses that hourglass you just talked about, Betty. That's a three-man knocker from Nemesis. His Ornn has been impeccable. Genex jumps into the back line, but he needs more support. Nemesis is currently holding off 4. He will finally go down to crown shot, and there is no reply from Fnatic. Genex got out with his life.
It was a battle of the front lines where, oh, hook lands.
It does indeed. The shield is up though. Limit blocks a lot of damage. Reckless continues to step forward as Hilly now will get burned down. Whippo leaps in forward but is exhausted instantly. Look at that heal from the battle roar, but it's not going to be enough to pick up any kills. Another to SK.
I think that when Fnatic don't have Nemesis, they can't afford to commit to these fights because they need that front line to play around. They need more of these extended fights, and like, it feels to me that Whippo is struggling to have an impact in these 5v5s as Selfmade could get caught out here.
Yeah, he does. Flashes over the wall, but it has bought some time. Reckless is in range, got flash available. There's a teleport now coming down. This is Nemesis. Flash is up too. No ultimate. This is a very slow Baron thus far. Nemesis can jump into the pit, and it looks like he's going to. The Rupture has just been thrown in. That's the flash. That's the bellows. The burn through. Reckless gets a double. He's looking at SK for more. The Baron has been elicited.
That's going to be an enter.
That's a triple. Quadras on the cards. It's stolen by scumbag Selfmade, but the Baron is gift wrapped for Fnatic.
Everything about that play was Nemesis. This guy TPs into the fight, flashes into the pit, and just tacks up everyone from SK to allow Reckless to do what he's wanted to do in every fight. Just last hit the opposition from a mile away. Beautifully set up from Nemesis. It's gonna be the Baron for Fnatic. It's gonna be the Dragon Soul for Fnatic, and they couldn't ask for more.
No, they literally could not. 4-0-8 for Reckless at the end of this fight, but you have to track Nemesis.
Yeah, just watch him in this fight. So he sets up with the Q. Rest of SK appreciate what could happen. Only one person gets knocked up, but he sets it up for Limit going extremely low. And just notice how he's keeping SK tracked in the pit. So Reckless, he's untouched. No one can get anywhere near him, so he can just clean up this fight from the backline. He wanted to get the Penta. The Quadra gets stolen away from him, but it doesn't matter. It wasn't about Reckless. It was all about how Nemesis set that one up to allow Fnatic to steal the Baron.
I sincerely hope on the team comms they were yelling Penta, Penta, Penta. I mean, it's a safe bet, right?
I mean, maybe.
Because it's one of my favorite things of Mic Check, and then hearing them yell at each other after the fact.
What I really want us to remember in this game, Rengar kind of been useless. I'm just saying, like, he got a solo kill shot. Yeah, he got a solo kill, but outside of that, he's just kind of died. I mean,
What pick would you have preferred, hypothetically? Because this was the last pick, right?
I mean, I don't know.
Any other carry? No, that's not fair.
No, it's just like, because it's like, I think we spoke at length about this, right? Like the damage trough that Fnatic found themselves in, and it made these fights difficult, but like, what we're seeing now is like, honestly, the skill gap between Fnatic and SK and how like they just seem to be more experienced team fighters. Like they're winning these fights 3v5 pretty much every single time, right? And it just goes to show how well Nemesis is playing. And now they're looking to see
Showing you how coordinated Fnatic are, how prepared they are. It's week 2 of the spring split, and they just feel very practiced, you know, very in sync, if you will. Well, look, they're pushing into the base now. 28 minutes is on the clock, 4,000 gold up already. And Whippo's thrill of the hunt, less than a minute, as Vedius would say, is now going to be in a little bit of trouble. Grand Starfall comes down. This could be the final attempt. Genex is getting obliterating his HP. It's Reckless that gets another. He's unstoppable. The retreat is on the cards as Hilly goes down. Nemesis and Selfmade looking for another. Trick almost gets blown up, and he does. It's Selfmade that gets the kill secure. Inhibitor will be focused down, and this was a tense game. Back and forth. SK managing to step up in the early game, but Fnatic punishing in the mid-game. Whippo on the knife cat. Not going to be able to pick up the final kill as it's Reckless. 6-0 and 10. 7-0-10 to finish out the game. Fnatic will take down SK. That was a really fun mid-game.
I mean, it definitely was a fun game. We need to ask Fnatic the logic behind the Rengar pick, because I'm still personally like.